Hello and welcome back to another LFC transfer room today. No debate room, no transfer central tonight. We're straight to the nitty gritty of who's going to replace Mo Salah when he leaves. We've talked so much on this channel about about the whole Salah situation. I'm sure we're all bored of it by now. Who he's going to, where he's going, is he going to extend? But joined by three lovely gentlemen here. Tar, I'll start with you. Recently back from the UK Arsenal game. Have a good time, and how's it going today?
What a trip. What an amazing trip. 10 days in London for the first time in my life. Just everything. It was a perfect trip. Got to visit a few other stadiums as well and saw the Reds pick up 3 points in a very crucial away game. So what more can I ask for?
Antony, yourself, doing good today?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Charlie. What about you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just had my spaghetti bolognese, so can't complain. That's why I'm running a bit late. I was making myself some garlic bread and didn't realise how late it was. But yeah, I'm good. Drew, you got called Jurgen Klopp. Looked like you got called a young Jurgen Klopp yesterday on our thread about young player and managers. I see it a bit. Not blonde, but the hair gives it away. But the hair gives it away for everything. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Charlie, and I'll take whatever comparisons to football players or managers of Liverpool I can take. So
I think you're on three with us now, aren't you? Allison, Jurgen Klopp, and who's the other? Was it Kris? I give you another one. I can't remember, but I think you're up to three players. But again, just before we get into the stream, guys, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're not already. Again, we're running a little sponsorship with Manscaped as well. So if you want any stuff to trim your balls, trim your beard, just use the code. It's in the description. It's TR2020 and it'll get you 20% off and free shipping. Jen, good evening. How are you doing today? Look, let's just get into it. Mohamed Salah, we've talked so much about him on this channel, Antony. Every day there seems to be a new piece of new rumor surrounding it. Today it's that he's talking to Juventus. We're not going to go over that. We're going to get straight into it. Who's going to replace him? First off, can anyone actually replace him, Antony?
I said this on the last stream. There's no one in this world that can replace Salah. At the moment, he's the best player in the world. And it's not just this season, it's for the past 3 or 4. There's not been a right winger who's been getting this amount of goals that Salah's been getting. He's creating this number of chances and getting these amount of assists. He's obviously one of the most important players to this Liverpool side. And it's going to be impossible to replace him. But we could always try to. And I think Raphinha is probably that player.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, do you agree with that as well? I mean, maybe the only person who could potentially come in straight away and replace him might be Mbappe, but even him, there's no one on this planet that could surely come in and produce the same numbers that he is with Liverpool.
yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get a like-for-like replacement. I think Mbappe would be the closest, and Holland is on that same caliber of player, but it's unrealistic that we'll get either of them. So we'll most likely go for, the alternate FSG route of someone who's there or thereabouts and hopefully can make the jump. But I don't see anyone stepping in and putting in the number Salah is right away. But there are some potential players who could come in that would be very exciting and add to the mix of the front 4 or 5 that we have right now. So I'm confident whichever way it falls, that will be good for next year.
Yeah, I mean, Tor, you've been away for a while, first stream in a fairly long time, so you've avoided a lot of the new Salah, rumors. But just really quickly, I'll just let you give your little opinion. Do you think he is going to sign? And if he does or if he doesn't, do you think we can actually replace him with the same caliber player, or is it going to be a case of what we did with Salah? Get him from a lower club and then have him build him up year after year to become the player that he is.
I still have a side of me, a positive side of me that believes that Salah will sign on the dotted line. I think that it's just a matter of time before Liverpool really allow him to get that price that he's asking for, if there is a higher price. And if there's a debate going on about that, whether the price that his agent and him is asking is too much. But obviously, I got to concur with both of the gentlemen here. Irreplaceable. Don't think anyone else in the past 5 seasons, ever since he joined the Reds back in 17-18, has that much impact on the pitch for a particular club. than Salah. I mean, you just look at the expected goals across the 5 years, what he does, helping others as well with the assists. And look, he's just an incredible player. And if it's time for him to go, I would like to see Liverpool do sort of a 2-for-1 deal. I doubt there's a like-for-like replacement right now, unless Liverpool break the bank and then get Kylian Mbappe, which is very highly unlikely because we all know he's probably going to sign with Madrid this summer. So hopefully that money over £100, maybe less than £100, who knows at this point, can cover for one or two players who can play in a similar position.
I don't think £100 going to cover too many players, Car. 100 million.
100 million. Sorry, yes, 100 million.
I mean, look, we've been linked with a lot of players over the past 6 months. You know, with the likes of Divock Origi's very close to a deal with AC Milan. Takumi Minamino has been linked with a move to Leeds United, and he was linked previously with moves to Southampton. So it looks like them two are going to be gone. If you take into account that, you know, three of our front three are on the contracts end at the end of next season, and it looks like at least one of them is going to be going on free. We're gonna have to bring in a minimum 2 players if we do want to do that. But you know, today we're gonna look at it like Mohamed Salah's leaving. So Mohamed Salah's gone. We need to replace him. You know, there's no option of getting him back, which is something that we all want. He's gone. We can replace him with a reasonable option, let's say. So let's start with the first one who's been linked a fair bit. Antony from Ajax, 22 years old, very skillful Brazilian, a bit cocky, but but he's a baller, so he can show it off. Reminds me a bit of Neymar when he was younger. He's been linked a lot. Barcelona and Bayern Munich, 2 teams who you'll hear a lot today because they're also linked with a couple of other players. Antony, I'll start with you. You know, you're the same name, so he's a young guy. You know, it's a lot of pressure on him to come in and expect him to be a replacement. But we can't look at it as a direct replacement, can we? Because we did that with Jordan Henderson, with Jarrod, and it's not the same. But what do you think Antony could offer to Liverpool that, you know, is a bit different?
The problem is, I think with all of our forwards is they always offer something different. With Antony, I don't see anything that he can offer that we don't already have, which is the issue. His goal record isn't that impressive. I'm not too sure about his assists. I mean, I don't really watch the Dutch league that much, but just statistically, it's not looking great. But I think his price tag's 35 million mark.
Yeah,
it wouldn't
so
be a bad
40 million euros, which is about 33 million pound.
And he's still young, 21, 22 years old. So obviously there's room for improvement. And we all know what Klopp could do to wingers, turns them into the best players in the world. So I wouldn't be completely against it, but he wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, do you know much about Antony? I mean, at the end of it's the Eredivisie. It's very hard to get stats on these players unless you pay mega money for actual scouting things. So the limited information that we have on him, he is Ajax's main player. You know, he's a main forward threat, which, you know, it lends him in good stead. It lends him in good stead, and you know, he's highly rated within the Brazilian setup. So do you think he could? You know, he's 22 years old. There's a lot of room for improvement, and we've seen players under Jurgen Klopp, they rarely have, come out of the shell. Do you think this could be another case if we were to sign him?
I think it's got all the attributes of a potential FSG signing. Like, he fits the age bracket. You know, he's on that step potentially of there or thereabouts for, a full career, and we're kind of bridging that gap as a club, bringing players who are exciting and then taking them to the next level. So he seems to have all the right attributes to make it or be a potential Liverpool signing. But I'm wary of the words that you used, cockiness, to describe him, because I think that's very much something that Liverpool don't really go for. The part of the background check too seems to be that, they're hardworking, down to earth players, and I think that really fits the atmosphere of the dressing room. And while there's a bit of banter going around behind the scenes, I don't think we're looking for a new Neymar or somebody bringing that kind of ego into the club. And while that's just, could potentially be hearsay, I'd go for a more grounded player and one who seems to be hungry and a bit more down the line, especially if we're looking at the potential replacement of Salah. I know it won't be like for like, but I'd want someone with a bit more caliber and a bit more proven stats in their career so far.
Yeah, I mean, Tor, you had a quick look at a few of Antony's stats, didn't you? I saw it on shot conversion. I'll let you take that. With the stats.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at Antony's stats, I'm going to pull them up right here and give you a brief preview of what he's good at. So comparing him with attacking midfielders and wingers, you have great shots total, assists, expected assists, non-penalty expected goals plus assists. All those are 93rd percentile or higher. And then when you look at the passes, his progressive passes, progressive carries, all that stuff that has to do with what wingers and midfielders are accustomed to doing, he's also in the 90th percentile or more. So I think that it's a bit of raw talent right now. It's the Dutch league. It's not, the Bundesliga, La Liga is not lighting up leagues that people watch that much. So you don't know if those numbers are a bit over-exaggerated. At the same time, though, he's only 22. So I think there's still potential for him to grow. You mentioned about the cockiness there. That's something I think that if he does join Liverpool, he can be brought down to earth a bit, calm down a bit, learn from the more experienced guys how to behave himself on and off the pitch. But right now, I think he's a fascinating prospect. And like you mentioned, the price tag around 35 million pounds, 40 million pounds, around that range. It's not too crazy high for a player at that age with that quality. So could be a potential long-term replacement option for Mo Salah. And I just love his energy. He's a lefty that plays out right, similar to Salah, uses that body fade, cuts inside, creates chances. Not many goals so far this season. I think 8 goals only in the Dutch league and 2 more in the Champions League, but still young guy. So there's still time to develop him even further.
Yeah, I mean, he's been criticised a lot by the Dutch media this weekend because he scored the winning goal for Ajax and then proceeded to get sent off after Dusan Tadic dragged him down to stay on the pitch injured. Crazy situation. Go and watch it if you haven't after the stream, of course. Next person we're going to move on to, we're going to try and keep this a bit short, just because some people have things to do and, we don't want a long stream. But Jarrod Bowen, Raphinha, another Brazilian, we're trying to bring in the whole Brazil squad by the looks of it. But, Drew, we've been linked with this guy for absolutely ages. And now, Leeds sort of look like they're going to be safe after 2 really good wins by your fellow countryman. The price is going to be very high if they do stay up. We're probably looking between 60 million pounds. And if you go down, you've got 25 million. I mean, do you go for him either way, or do you only go for him if Leeds go down?
I think it'd be financial sense if Leeds go down. He's a player that excites me. We know a bit more about him. We get to see him more in the Premier League, so we know what he can do. Kind of reminds me, though, of what Antony said before for Antony of Ajax, where he doesn't particularly offer anything that our other front four can't do, but it's just another in the mix, and maybe he reaches the next level with us. But I wouldn't want to pay big money for him. I think the $25 million release clause if Leeds get relegated is very attractive, because that almost seems kind of like a Shaqiri deal where it's like, why wouldn't you buy a player at that point when, there's inflated fees like Declan Rice, who, West Ham slapped like 100 million on him. So if you could get someone 150, yeah. So, but again, I'd still like to go for a higher caliber player and one who, if we're talking about replacing Salah, I want numbers as far as goals, like a player who's going to get the goals. And I know we need to get where FSG's got that potential next step, like trying to see the future almost of who's going to fill in that gap. But I want a little more certainty around someone coming in.
Yeah, I mean, Antony, Premier League experience, something that we know is very valuable in transfers, especially if you join in different clubs. Because at the end of the day, it's the hardest league in the world. So if we all bring on people like Antony in, we don't know what they are. Raphinha has proven he had an amazing start to the season, slowed down a bit, But do you think you'd be able to thrive under Jurgen Klopp and, maybe one day become that Mohamed Salah-esque player?
I don't think he'll match Salah's levels, but completely. That's my main reasoning why I think we should sign him. He's already proven it in the Premier League and at one of the lower clubs. To say, obviously, Leeds almost got relegated, or I guess they still can, but probably not going to happen. And he's still scoring goals for them. A bit contradicting myself. I guess he's not scored as many as Antony, but if he's scoring that many at a lower team, imagine what he's going to do with the likes of Trent assisting him with Robertson, creating chances for him. So I think he could thrive under Jurgen Klopp, and obviously he's used to playing high intensity football as well under Bielsa. So I think it'll be a perfect match for him.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the situation, Chelsea were leading the race for him before the whole sanction, and assume, let's say they do get the owners back, they're going to be right back in for him, or new owners. Barcelona have been very heavily linked with them, and Bayern Munich as well. We know that Liverpool don't always offer crazy wages, and we can't always guarantee playing time. So do you think he would choose Liverpool over the likes of a Barcelona where he's going to be starting week in, week out?
I think right now, if you ask a player where they want to play, I think Liverpool has to be up there. It used to go back, 4 or 5 years. Whenever there's a race between the likes of Barca, Madrid, Bayern, the big boys of global football, those would be preferred over Liverpool. But what Liverpool have done in the past few years, I think, puts the club right in the mix for that. So definitely there's an attraction for sure. If a player wants to make a big move, Liverpool has to be in that list. Talking about Raphinha, though, we did put out a poll on the LC Transfer Twitter account. And was it 50-50? Or is it still 50-50 right now between Raphinha and Antony?
It was about an hour ago. I'll have a check for you now.
It's close. And I think that the fact that it's quite close shows that people have divided opinions. You want to go with the younger, more raw option of Antony, who's just a bit of a flair player, or a proven talent who's been able to establish himself in the Premier League like Raphinha. I have nothing against Raphinha at all, but I just feel like with what he's doing at Leeds right now, I don't think he's that impressive at the end of the day. I think that, yes, he's a good winger, but he doesn't really give me the wow factor that Antony does. That's why personally I prefer a more younger version of that, right winger who prefers that left foot and cuts inside and creates chances. So that's just a personal option for me. But again, both players are fantastic at what they do.
Yeah, so I it's still going, so go over them both if you'd like. It's Raphinha's got 51% and Antony's got 48.9%. So it's really close, and again within the fan base, maybe people do prefer that showy bit, that bit of showmanship that Antony has. But I mean, we're gonna go they were the two main targets I wanted to talk about because we've been linked with them a lot. I'm gonna start running through just a few more. I'll just ask everybody, about one player, and if you want to give your opinion on that player, please just come in, just interrupt. Also, too, guys, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, get your players in that you'd like to see. I know we've got some in there, Osimhen, St. Maxim. So be sure to comment the players that you'd like to see in Liverpool. But Drew, I'll start with you. That rhymed. Another Premier League player who's done absolutely unbelievable this season. Unfortunately, got injured against Liverpool. English talent, homegrown, Jarrod Bowen. We've got a lot of people on the Bowen bus here. Unfortunately, with the season that he's having, probably looking that he's going to be costing about 60 million plus. I think David Moyes put a price tag of 75 million on him, but you can get him cheaper than that. Would he be a good option for Liverpool, or do you think we're aiming too low?
I think prior to the injury, he was very exciting. But again, you said it. I think the biggest deterring factor is that English tax. I'm very shy towards getting a player who's probably 30, 40 million more expensive than if he played in Serie A with, an I at the end of his last name, as opposed to, British youngster. Like, I'm very, very impressed by his season. And again, though, the injury was, happening against us. That looked pretty serious, and I wouldn't want to pick him up on the back end of having that injury after he has had all this hype. I'd like to see him play after he comes back, and we'll see if he hits the ground running after that. But that looked pretty serious, and I wouldn't want to take the gamble on him just yet when there are plenty of other options that wouldn't have that British tax tagged onto it.
Yeah, I mean, someone who has been linked as well, Antony, in the past, the Sadio Mane replacement, he's been called, visited the club when he was 15 years old. Instead he chose to play in the Belgium league, and now he's with Rennes. Jeremy Doku, do you think we could see him at Liverpool one day? And is this the perfect time to come in and show that he was right to wait?
I don't really keep up to date with Jeremy Doku.
Fair enough. Who else? Let's Isaac. He's been linked with everyone. Pretty decent player. Had a good Euros. Obviously not a winger, but he can play up front as well. Again, it's going to be a lot to get Isaac in. I know Matthias, our fellow Sweden lad. I'm sure he'd love Isaac at Liverpool. Do you think he could do a good job at Liverpool? He's fairly tall. Could get on some Trent crosses.
It all just depends. You know what? Because if Salah does go, we might end up having a bit of a system change. But can we imagine him starting? That's the only thing. There's just too much quality, I think. I'm not sure if he would be able to start for us, to be honest. I'm not sure if he's got that extra bit of quality yet. But obviously, like I said before, when Klopp gets his hands on a player, he can turn them into the best forward in the world. So who knows?
Yeah, Tor. I know you've wanted to talk about him a lot. I'm very interested to see how you get a centre forward / attacker midfielder in to replace Mohamed Salah. But Christopher Nkunku, a big advisor of him joining Liverpool. Maybe not a direct Salah replacement, but as Antony said there, maybe a system change is in play if we bring him in for Salah.
Yeah, I love Christopher Nkunku. I made a analysis video of him as well, looking at all his stats and how it stacks up not only against forwards but also attacking midfielders, as well as the players that Liverpool currently have in the attacking position. So do check that out on the LFC Transfer Room channel. And he's just a great talent overall. He's very, very versatile. That's what I like about him. His ability to adapt and interchange with the various positions that he's playing at. RB Leipzig plays a 3-4-2-1 formation, and he plays that 2 behind the main 1 forward. And that attacking 2 behind that main center striker, he can interchange. He plays off the right, sometimes off the left. He can play centrally, deeper into midfield, and even as the center forward himself. So that ability, I think, to change different positions throughout the match, throughout the game situations, fits what Jurgen Klopp wants to do. You look at all the stats from FE-Ref. Love that site, by the way. Lots of good in-depth analysis. He ranks in like the 80th and 90th percentile on almost every single category you look at, whether it's goals, assists, progressive carries of the ball. And not only are those numbers high when comparing to attackers, they're also high when comparing to wingers. And I think he's just been fantastic this season. He's only 24 years old. He's banging goals not only in the German league with RB Leipzig, but also in the Champions League as well. So still a young talent. His contract runs out in 2024. If Liverpool can get their hands on him this summer, could be a good move. Not a like-for-like change for Salah. I know that he doesn't prefer playing off the wings. He's more like a central guy. I think, Charlie, you mentioned more like a Firmino replacement. But you don't have to go like for like. You can bring another guy in, maybe tuck Luis Diaz to that position instead and play Nkunku to the central. So let's see how it works. But I'm personally a really big fan of what Nkunku has done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Drew, you seemed to be in agreement with Tor with everything he was saying there. Do you think he's going to cost a lot of money? He's having an unbelievable season with Leipzig, where we could get like Antony for 33 million. You're probably at least doubling it for Nkunku, but he's 24 years old. Do you think Liverpool could spend the big bucks on him?
If Salah leaves, I think so. And even if he didn't, I'd still be excited to bring someone like Nkunku in, especially with the Roberto Firmino towards the end of his contract not having the same impact. Even though I love Bobby, we're going to have to replace him at some point. And Nkunku seems amazing. Like, you just watch him play. Anyone who hasn't seen him play, watch him play, and you'll see why Ta and I are so excited about him. And when we're talking about, Jarrod Bowen being, similar price range as Nkunku, you're chalk and cheese at that point for, what you prefer. But I'm excited about Nkunku, and the numbers that he's putting up kind of shows like he's at that jumping point where if we could bring him into the squad, he's a player that could become a pivotal Liverpool player over the next 5, 6, 7 years. He has that quality, and if he takes the jump at Liverpool, you're looking at an exciting world-class talent.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up the stream in a few minutes, but just really quickly, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. We have streams every day, especially during a transfer window. We're getting 2 free videos out a day, so make sure you do leave a like and subscribe. Like the video as well, and yeah. But I'm gonna go around just to end it off. I'm gonna ask each of you really quickly who you would bring in if Salah left, and just a really quick summary on why. Try not to double it up. So, Drew, I'm afraid I'm going to give this one to Tar first. So, you might have to think of someone else. But Tar, who would you bring in and why?
Thank you so much for letting me go first. No, look, again, I'm gonna go with what I said initially. Antony or Raphinha. I'm gonna pick Antony. Young, he's got that pace, he's got that technical ability. Just needed a bit of proper coaching to calm him down a bit, not lose his head during the game. But the stats are there. I mean, you look at what he's able to achieve at just 22. Great at passing, great at dribbling. He has an eye for goal as well. And I think if Liverpool want to go the path of bringing in someone to replace Salah for the long-term future, he's the man to do it right now.
Antony, who's your player and why?
Sorry, I think I'm going to take Drew's answer, but I'm going to go with Raphinha. I already said he's Premier League proven, banging in goals at one of the lower teams, and Klopp could just do wonders with him. And just throwing this out there, maybe we could save this for another stream, but I'm still on the Ivan Toney train as well to replace Divock Origi.
Hopefully he doesn't call us a small club like he has Brentford this week. Absolute menace to society, Ivan Toney, but I would love him. I think he's funny. Drew, I thought people were going to choose Nkunku. Are you going to stick with Nkunku, or who have you got?
I mean, I'll take the tap in of Nkunku. We already explained why, but if I wanted my Christmas list out there, I'd throw in Serge Gnabry. I know we've talked about him, Charlie. No, it's different like for like, but I'd love to see him in the team. But I'll throw in a curveball. I'd love to see potentially Kingsley Coman. Huge, on Bayern. Huge fan of his. I know we've had some maybe random rumor links to him in the past, but I know he's not. I know he's got injury problems, but Liverpool's medical staff has shown that they've worked wonders with our players with injuries, and he's an extremely exciting player. I think he's around 25 years old too, so I would love to get a player like him in the club as well.
Yeah, Drew, you might as well just sign Ousmane Dembele if you want Kingsley Coman.
I think Kingsley Coman's got the better big game skills. I think he, obviously injuries are a huge part of his career so far, but when he's been fit, he's shown up in really big games for both France and for Bayern.
I'm going to throw one that I didn't talk about just purely because we haven't been linked with him at all. And I think it'd be an unbelievable sign would be Victor Osimhen. He can play on both wings. He can play up front. He leaps like a gazelle. He's the best. I don't know how the hell he jumps that high. Having an unbelievable season with Napoli, I think. So I bring him in. He's probably going to be like 70 million plus, 23 years old. But I'd love to see it. I'm sure a lot of our Nigerian Reds, because I know we've got a big following in Nigeria, they would love him. But guys, appreciate you all for joining us. Everyone in the comments, thank you for getting all your comments in. Again, if you're not already, please subscribe, like the video, check out everybody on social media, daily streams as much as we can. So yeah, everyone, thank you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.